Welcome back, class. Last time we looked at simple selectors. Now we are going to look at attribute selectors, and we are saying that attribute selectors, these select elements using either the attribute name or the attribute itself. They are either using the attribute name or the attribute itself. So this is my site that helps me teach you and attain maximum capabilities. It is under development. Very soon, or at a certain date, it will also be hosted such that you can find this information 20 years from today. You will still find it working, and you can access everything here for free. So attribute selectors, we are saying these are selectors that make it possible for us to style specific HTML elements. For example, we can select all elements that have target as their attribute. Once again, the name is attribute selectors. So it means this is going to deal with attributes strictly. We are dealing with attributes. So we can come here and say that say HR BR, and now we can say maybe H1 or H2, that attribute selectors. Okay, we can even choose to change this. Let's leave it like that because you might need it. So attribute selectors, when we refresh our page here, the one we are working with, you will see it here, attribute selectors. We can now work on our spelling, double T, single R, like this. Attribute selectors. So one of them, we are saying that we can select all attributes that have the word target in them. So we come to our code here. Where do we find the word target as an attribute? So we have this W. Let us assume we have HTTP. We had seen it in the tutorial app. www.google.com, and this is for Google. Then we have another one, says HTTP www.ucu.ac.ug, and then this points to UCU. We have another one that says HTTP www.jumia.com, and this points at Jumia. Remember, we said whatever you want the user to see is put between the opening tag and closing tag for every tag that has both the opening and closing. So we are saying that assuming we have target here and target here, so we are saying target underscore blank, and we said that this will help us that whenever somebody clicks on, say, the link of Google and Jumia, they can open in a different tab, not exactly the same tab we are working on. So when we refresh for now, they will just be the way they are, normal links, Google, UCU and Jumia. But we are saying, since we are dealing with attribute selectors, that we can select all and say or. For attributes we use these brackets, what you can call square brackets, and we put in the name of the attribute then. So we say we are selecting all the links that have the word target. What do we want with them? Maybe we can say that give them a color that is maybe golden rod as the color, and maybe change their font size to say 25 pixels. So we can also say background or background color to be, let's say, gray. So when we refresh our page, now this is what we see. Why is UCU not selected? We come back to our code here and we realize that UCU is not having the word target as an attribute. That is why it was not selected. So it is very important, that is a very important type of attribute, that it can pick and leave out the rest even if all of them were to be of the same, if all of them had the same tag name. So you can maybe put a paragraph here and then we call this attribute selector. Or we can simply say selecting elements with a target as their attribute. So when we refresh, we shall know what that is meaning. It is still picking blue because we're on the same page and we had declared paragraphs to have color blue. So there is nothing else to worry about that. So we can look at another type which is called attribute or value. So we are saying that these are selectors that pick an element with an attribute value. Now the point is on value, with an attribute value containing a particular word. For example, we can select all elements that have a specific word, say crime, as their attributes. So we can try out that also and see how it happens. We have HR BR here, and we have a paragraph that says selecting all attributes with the word crime. See? So what are we going to do here? We can maybe say paragraph. We say Uganda is experiencing unprecedented levels of coronavirus. And then we say that title, we had looked at something like this, is an attribute, and we are saying that the attribute word is crime, like here. By the way, you can maybe say bold for B, then we put it in between here, so that one will be bolded. We can even say maybe we want it italicized. Okay, we want it italicized, so it was inside here, so that will be bolded and italicized. We can be able to see it here. Down here you see crime is bold and is italicized. So we are saying that Uganda is experiencing unprecedented levels of coronavirus. Now we can highlight a little and I'm pressing shift, highlighting a few lines or characters, 2 of them, and pressing end to highlight all the line at once. Ctrl C for copying, Ctrl V for pasting. Maybe I can paste the same thing around 3 more times. So we have crime, we can have crimes, crime, we can have crimes, we can have, to prove something, we can have maybe bad dash crime. So we are saying that we want to select something, an attribute that has a value called crime. So all these are attributes of the same title, these are values of the same attribute called title. And by the way, when we refresh, we shall see all those lines there. When we hover over them, we shall see crime. This is crime, this is crimes, this is bad crime. Why? Because this is like a tooltip. We had created that in our, I think, very first tutorial. So we come to CSS. We are dealing with the attribute or value. So we are saying that we put it in a square brackets. We are saying that the title should equal to crime, the attribute that must be selected. Pick an attribute which is title, and that attribute should simply equal to crime. And what should you do to it? Create a background that is maybe hot pink. Let us just give it a width. Width maybe 800 pixels. I hope that one will be okay. 800 pixels. So let's refresh and see what happens. So we have that as being selected. So we are saying that title, this is usually found, you can get this symbol by pressing the shift button and a key that is below the escape button and above the tab. Usually that is where it is located. So we are saying that go to the attribute called the title, and anything that has the word crime in it, select it and apply these properties and their values. So when we refresh, we have these two properties selected, rather two sentences selected. When we come back to our code, we can see that this has crime, which is correct. This has two values, crimes, crime, and it is finding the word crime there, but it cannot select crimes because it is not crime. It cannot remove the S, unless we did something like this, refreshed, then it would pick it. Why? Because now it is reading the class or the value to be crimes, then space S, but once it is crimes alone as a complete word, it cannot read it. This one is bad dash crime, so it is reading it as one value because of this dash here. If we removed it and put a space, it would look like this, and then it would be selected. So thus far we are very correct in saying that the attribute is doing what it is supposed to do. So that is as far as that is concerned. We can also look at another type. We are saying that we have attribute, and then this sign, it would be pipe in other programming languages. So The difference here is that when you say attribute and then the pipe symbol, you are saying the value must be the word that is starting. So we are saying that these are selectors that pick an element with a specific attribute starting with the specific value. For example, we can select all elements that start with crime as their attribute. Now, we had created an example here which we can copy like this from here. We can copy it, then say that selecting all attributes, starting with the word crime. So we can leave this example as it is. We come to CSS, we say, now I said for attributes we put them in square brackets, so we say title. If we are going to start, then we say the pipe symbol. It is usually the key that is near the enter or the return key on your keyboard or button on your keyboard. This equals crime. This equals crime, and what do you want to do? We can just have the same CSS properties here. We are saying that the background should be made hot pink. With this is 800 pixels. Maybe for purposes of you being able to see properly, we can make this background green or gray. So we come refresh our page, refresh our page, and now it is picking this and that. Yes, it is okay to show us these like that because we are working one on the same page here and simply using the same word. So we can maybe change this word to good, okay, and then this also can change it to goods, good, such that we affect them differently. We can change this to goods, then this can also be bad, good, no problem. So when we refresh now, we need to change the CSS because we've changed the wording from crime to good, and we are saying that this pipe symbol is for starting, so the word good must start. When we come to HTML here, we expect that this is going to pick only this because this is where good starts. This is the only paragraph that has the title attribute with the value good starting. So when we refresh our page, exactly as we expected, that is what is being picked. So we can play around here and change this good now to here, just to see for purposes of study. Then we refresh and we still have good and goods starting like that. Then we have if we remove the S here, then we would also expect it to work. So this is not the only class for good, so they are saying goods. If all of these were named good, we would expect that that is going to look at it as the same and then do the needful. We are looking at good, where good is starting, and then we have that class. So another way of understanding this would be to make, for example, all these to be good, belonging to the same class as good. When we refresh our page, all of them are highlighted because all of them are belonging to the same class. So even if we said goods and we come here and refresh, you can see it is not selected because the class, much as it begins with good, it is not the only class there. So that is something to note, that for this attribute it would pick that class as good and only the class that should be only good. If we say goods here, it would not pick it still. If then we said bad good like what was there, still this will not be picked because now this good does no longer, it doesn't start. Much as this good starts, but it is not the only class present, rather the only value present. So note that it needs to be starting and as the only value of that attribute. So here it is being read as a single attribute. All these are read as single attributes. Another one would be selecting what if we had a specific type of an attribute and also a specific would also have a specific attribute value. Selecting all attributes starting with the word good, we can also, maybe for now we can first remove this, so we can say selecting all attributes that have a specific attribute and value. Have a specific attribute and value, so we can remove these to have a specific attribute that says maybe ID as a specific attribute, because we know it simply selects only what is necessary. So this most likely is going to give us the same as the one above where it is starting, so it is ID because it must be equal to that ID, and then we are saying that ID equals good. And what are we doing? We can just have the same, but maybe now change the color. If this was gray, we can change the color to maybe now let us do green. No, golden road. Okay, fine. So when we refresh our page here, we have the first one selected, meaning this one is simply doing equals, so it must be equal to that value or else it won't work. It must be equal to that value or else it won't work. It must be equal to that value or else it won't work. So another attribute that we can look at is this attribute that has a pointer, or what you would call an attribute that would select this is what you will try out, this particular attribute. Try it out in the assignment that you will have under this. You will have to show me what you read about it. The point you are going to look for is that with a specific attribute beginning with a specific value. This is what you are majorly looking at. Then the other attribute we have is a null attribute. We are saying these are selectors used to select elements whose attribute value contains a specified value. They seem to be very many value words, but they are also equally important. We are saying the specified word might not be complete. It can be complete or not complete. So this is important in case you don't remember the whole name of the attribute value. So if you work on that, we can have the same thing here. The same thing here. We are saying beard. So we have something like this, and we need an HR here, BR here. We can remove this. It is okay. So we have this kind of attribute. We are going to say, let us change the name. We can maybe we can call it food. Don't mind about the sentence. Then this becomes food. This becomes foods, and maybe this is bad food. So we are looking at that attribute that says as anything that contains that. So when we come to CSS, we can say, copy this, paste it here, change the attribute value. Ours is food, but with all. So this is the multiplication sign or symbol that you have there. You are saying that even if it doesn't have to be a whole word, so we are saying look for foo. So when we refresh our page here, where we are looking for foo, all of them are selected. Why? Because they have the word FOOD or FOO that we have selected. So what if it only had this has FOO? Then this one has maybe single O, FOO, single O, and something like that. So when we refresh, we have the first three. We can come back and check. Why the first three? Because this has double O, this has double O, single O. Now we can, if we wanted to remove that, we can also make it single O. So we expect that this selecting FOO will have these two. Why? Because this is where the FOO is, and FOO is. So if we made it single O, then we expect that all of them are going to be selected, because all of them at least have F and a single O. So this is quite nice because it helps us understand that even if we have forgotten, we can still select them. It is a bit dangerous or reckless, because then if we have several of these where we had a class, assuming this was a class on its own, and also had all the same as in the attribute, and then this also FO, then we would have some confusion. But if you are sure they were only IDs, that is why we're having an ID here, since it is a specific attribute. If we are only having IDs, then we should be able to select only where the ID is. The last one I'm going to look at is where the attribute is ending, where the attribute is ending, the attribute value. I can as well maybe pick this once again, and then we paste it here, Then we say HRBR selecting all attributes that have a specific attribute and value ending. So this is for ending. Goods, we can have this, okay. Goods, bad good, we highlight, and then we come here and say ID equals, for ending we can say ending, okay. If we can say any of the characters, this we can say must equal to, then this we can say pressing Ctrl and the / to create a comment, must start with, then this can say as long as it has the word crime as the attribute, okay. So ending we can say ID, the $ is for ending, equals, the word could be maybe good, okay, it is ending with good. If it is ending with good, then we can come and say give it these properties, give it, for you can type the properties, give it those properties. So when we come and refresh our page here, we need to change this word. We can call it goody, such that we have them different. Goody, goodies, bad goodies, or bad goody. So that we are not affecting anything as far as specificity is concerned. So this one is changing due to specificity, so they can go back. So when we come down here, it is picking the first and the rest. We go back and say the first was goody, it is the only one in there. Goodies is not picked because it has 2 words. Goodies here is not picked because we are saying it should be goody. Bad goody is picked because goody is ending. So here we are dealing with ending. This is not picked because there are 2 words, we had seen that. This is not picked because it has an S, goodies. This is picked because ends with a goody as a word. This is picked because it is the only one, and so it can start and at the same time end. So when we go back here, that is what we see, that we are picking goody as long as goody is ending, and this goody is also ending. So if you add goodies, that the goodies are the ones that are ending, then we would be having something like this. Anything else to explain here? So try them out, take your time, understand what you are selecting here. Ending, so anything that has goody is being selected as long as it is the one that is ending. So if you change this, that goody is starting, you would still not have it selected because now goody is starting, not ending. If we came here to selectors and said goody should start, if it is going to start, we put a pipe, then we should have that's selected, and for starting it only picks if it is the only value present, whereas for ending can be a little bit lenient. Why? Because now that it is ending, we can see that, for example, bad goody is being selected, whereas if it is starting, the fact that good is not starting under bad goody, then it cannot be selected. This is starting here, but it will not be selected if we are dealing with starting, because there are two words. So understand that, and then we can move on. So the next tutorial after this, in case you wanted to follow them in their order, we started with selectors, attribute selectors. I will jump to pseudo class. So the next tutorial you should look out for is for pseudo class.